But the Egyptian mystery system reached many people, like I say, before the Athens even got it. In 600 BC, according to history, Anaximenes and Anaximander carried out Pythagoras' thought, carried out the teachings that he learned from Kemet. And in fact, the main three philosophers in Greek, Aristotle, Plato, and Socrates, are really what? Are really nobodies. Because believe it or not, their own people did not even have a record of them until they were 18, and then all of a sudden, at the age of 40, all of them are teaching. But up until that time, they really did nothing. And the only reason that the Greeks have records on these three people because they were Athens. The others were not. Some were from Ionia. And if you're not familiar with Ionia, Ionia is where the Hittites lived at one point. So you think about that. You think about the Hittites, you think about the Ionians, and you think about who was around at that time. It would really blow your mind. But like I said, these men were never even heard of until the age of 18. And all of a sudden at the age of 40, they teach it and they have all of these books. Math, sciences, and astrology, theology. But I want you to remember something, that only the elite Greek was allowed to have some form of education. You think about that. Because that was controlled. And as long as you had education, just like today, it is a form of control. Anytime your oppressor knows more than what you know, they are able to institute that which they want to impose upon you. Because you have no power. And what is power? Power is the ability to define phenomena and make it act in a desired manner. And that they did. And it wasn't no mystery god that helped the Greeks invade Kemet. It was actually the Persians that helped them. I'm just saying. Do some research, you know. But in the 3rd century, and I want to say around 274 through 194 BC, Eratosthenes, Eratosthenes, conjured up a chronology of Greek philosophers. And it's like I said, this was around 274 through 194 BC. And then Andronicus came up or drew up another one, I want to say 60 BC. Yeah. And these writings is where Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, and Napoleon, after learning the secrets, wrote their existence in history. And all of this was done by or through Alexander the Great. Because if Alexander the Great had not invaded Kemet, you would have no Socrates, you would have no Plato, and you would have no Aristotle, you would have no Pythagoras, you would have no Andronicus, you would have no Parmenides, you would have none of that. Not to mention Anaxagoras and so forth. Theophratus and Eudemus. Now they were students of Aristotle and they helped compile this Greek philosophy after Aristotle's death. Theophratus, whose birth and death is around 371 through 286 BC, and he was from the island of Lesbos. Now, if you've been paying attention, you will understand that that's where the Greeks sent their women to that island when they got tired of them so that they can have sex among themselves. If you think I'm lying, I want you to watch the movie Alexander the Great. You got Netflix? Watch it. Watch it. All of them were homosexuals. But this whom you give credence to, this whom some of our people to college and then join a Greek fraternity, having no understanding about Greek culture at all. I'm just saying, these are the very same people who you up and then you're gonna go and join their team. Now, some of my family members are in these Greek fraternities, but they don't know nothing about that, and they hold that in high esteem. Now, I just spoke about Theophratus, and he was from Lesbos. Now you have Eudemus, and he's from Rhodes, and he is so-called responsible for arithmetic, geometry, astrology, religion, and that which is of matter in the universe. And from my understanding, all of this came from the god Thoth. That's one of the Kemetic gods, Thoth. And he is the one who is responsible for math, geometry, religion, astrology, magic, stars, planets, matter. And with his counterpart, Ma'at, who is the balancer of the universe, the goddess of balance. She's the goddess of balance. Just like when you have in astrology and you have the zodiac signs and you have the woman with the scales, that's balance. Well, if you want to look at it, that's Ma'at. Ma'at has wings. The scales don't, but she represents that. That's all I'm saying. Now, the Greeks always had real problems with themselves. There were always internal struggle war with one another. And when they weren't fighting with one another, they were fighting with none other than the Persians. Now, common sense would tell a person, how can you have fights among yourselves all the time? And when you're not fighting yourself all the time, you're fighting the Persians. Where do you have time to develop any form of philosophy? You have to have a stable environment to develop any form of philosophy. You can't be running for your life. You can't be fighting all day. You can't drag your kids and the citizens of that place, or yet have an institution of learning, whereas they can focus. They didn't have that. They didn't have that. Their environment was unsuitable to even have a philosophy. What would be their philosophy? Fighting? We know about the Edomites, right? And we know that they are gods of war. The earliest theory of salvation is the Kemetic theory.
You will not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. The revolution will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised. The revolution will be no rerun, brothers. The revolution will be live.